So, I know it's been a long time. Finally got some parts in. I'm getting ready to install today. Basically, today the main things are the boost gauge and a wideband. Got a 2 gauge cluster that's going to go on top of the steering wheel. And also, it's already halfway in, but I have a big downpipe that I bought off of a guy on one of the forums. A 3 inch. I actually have that already in place. There's the stock one. So for that, I still have to drill and weld this bung in, and in order to make that 3 inch downpipe, it's a lot longer than the stock one. So I'm actually going to have to cut the exhaust pipe, which it has a test pipe on. There's no catalytic converter or anything, and then weld in this flange. So I got a brand new flange and a gasket. So that should be pretty cool. Probably start out with showing you underneath the car and showing you what I'm gonna do, and then I'll take the exhaust out and cut it. So hopefully you like it. Got a lot of work to do. Here's all the parts. Ended up having to take like a bunch. I took a bunch of stuff off I didn't even need to take off, but you kind of live and learn, you know. Especially these bolts on this O2 dump. I took them out, but I didn't have to, and that thing, they're pretty brutal. So, oh, and by the way, I didn't get a chance to record it, but there's that brand new radiator support. Follow me on Instagram. There's a lot of photos on there. That was like a week process, and it was too much to try to film and then keep everything lined up and pay attention. So that's that. One thing to note on doing a downpipe or any work, just take the radiator out. It's so much easier. I spent 45 minutes trying to screw around with the radiator in there. It's just drain it and take it out. It's going to be easier at the end of the day. This pipe right here is the new downpipe that I got. But as you can see, this pipe right here is the exhaust. This is that test pipe I was talking about. It's far too long. So I would prefer to cut the test pipe and weld that, because that's just a cheap piece of steel. The downpipe is probably like $300, but I mean, I bought it aftermarket from a private owner. I mean, it's used, but it's literally just a pipe that's bent, so there's nothing that can wear out on it. I'm going to mark it right about here. I want to leave it a little bit long, and I'll take the exhaust completely out of the car. I'll have to take this O2 sensor off and then disconnect all the little rubber support grommets, and then I'll cut that a little bit long, and then I'll mount everything up, and I'll cut it again when I have a better, when they're more aligned better, because right now the bottom pipe is kind of at an angle to the top pipe. So I'll leave it long, and then I'll end up cutting it twice. Yeah, it seems like more work, but I'd rather get it right than have to buy more material and try to fix a mistake. So I'll take the pipe out, and then I'll show you guys what I'm talking about. So exhaust is out of the car. Got our mark right there. I'm going to use this hacksaw to cut through it. Now, I don't expect this cut to be perfectly straight, because I'm using a hacksaw, and I don't have any way really good, like I don't have a miter table or anything. So that's why I left this long, because I'm going to use the new flange, slide it over, and then mark a perfect circle around it, and then I'm just going to grind it to a 90 so we have a nice surface to weld on then. So I'll cut this. I'm not going to do it on camera. Alright, so pipe's cut. I had a pretty straight cut, but it's not perfect. It would probably work, but that's not where we want it. So here's what I was talking about. So what you can do is you can take your new flange, and once we mount it up in there and we mark where our final cut's going to be, you just slide this on there, and then you take, you have to use two hands, but you just take your marker and just trace it around. You'll have a perfectly square cut line. Use your grinder to get a straight cut and get it perfect. And then we'll put everything back in the car, bolt it all up, and we'll just tack weld this thing on there, and then I'll bring it out and I'll weld the bead around everything. Look at this garbage. Somebody's first time welding, huh? Well, it works. I'll leave it for now, but maybe down the road we'll do something about this. This pipe's pretty ugly. On a side note, I think I might just keep this piece and weld a dump down on the end and use this for when I go to the drag strip. I wonder how that would sound. I'd be so sure you probably hear the turbo so good with that thing. We got the tailpipe back in the car, and notice I put the flange on. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna mark it on this side. I'm gonna butt it up against real nice, mark it on the inside of this, and then I'm gonna take it off the car and trace it all the way around. That's gonna give us our final cut. Now we do have some play back and forth, maybe just with the rubber grommets to hold the exhaust on. You know, you have about 1/4 of an inch, but you still really don't want to stress those out, so you want to get everything as straight as possible. So that's what we'll do. Our line there, so like I was talking about earlier, we'll just put this on here and then we'll trace the whole way around the pipe. That'll give us a nice square line for us to follow with the grinder and cut it down. Do a really good job on it. Like that. What I do is I use these really thin wheel on the grinder, and that'll give us a nice cut. And I'm going to try to stay on this side of the line as much as possible, because we don't want to remove any extra material. We want to keep it. Might even be better just to keep the line on there. We can always take more off later, but you know, you're going to be spending money if you need to make it, if you cut it too short. So that's the plan. One thing you want to make sure you always do, especially if you're going to weld on the chassis of a vehicle, is you always want to disconnect the negative battery terminal. That'll prevent damage to your ECU. And I'm not sure how much an ECU costs for an Evo 9, but I am positive that I do not want to find out how much it costs. Alright, so now we're in there, and you can see how close that cut is. Like I said, there's play, so this thing pretty much, you know, you can slide it back. I got a good at least 1/2 inch there. So at this point, we're gonna slide this guy on, and I'm gonna put the bolts in. And actually, it looks like I'm gonna have to do a little bit more grinding on this, so I'll have to take that off. I didn't take into account how thick this was when I was grinding. We got everything bolted together. We're at the point now where we're ready to tack the new flange onto the pipe. So I'm just gonna hit it a couple times. Just know I'm not a professional welder. I took some classes in high school. I would never weld like a roll cage or anything safety wise, and I would never weld in an exhaust area where it mattered before the O2 sensor. So topped off the radiator fluid. I put a cap in the bunk for the wideband, because I'm not going to be installing that right now. And I got that clamp that I broke for the intercooler, and now we just have to hook up the battery, and then we should be ready to test start this thing. So I'm trying to set up the camera so you get a good angle so you can hear how it sounds for the first time with the new downpipe. the oil and stuff I was using to break the screws loose, but let's check underneath. I don't see any exhaust leaks anywhere. So far so good. I have to take it for a little test drive to see how it works. Interior, just idling, I can tell there's a lot more noise in the cabin. Everything seems to vibrate now, but I guess that's the trade-off. I mean, this is a race car. I don't drive this every day, so I don't really mind it. So let's go for a drive. I've been back for a while, and everything's ran good. The car's running good. You got no leaks or anything, no exhaust leaks. The engine's staying cool. So, one thing I didn't get to catch on video, which I wish I would have, was I actually took 2 trips. The first trip, I went down around my house, and then I go up over this hill. And when I was going up over the hill, I got on the gas a little bit, and I heard this loud popping noise, and like I lost all my power. I could just hear like a little bit of a hiss. What happened was I forgot to tighten up this clamp right here, and it had popped off. Luckily I was already up over the hill, and I just coasted in neutral down to my house, so I wouldn't have to worry about sucking anything up or doing any damage. So the second run is the one that's on video and you've already seen. I gave about halfway throttle. For the people who subscribe and watch the videos, that a lot of them are my friends, but for people who are, who don't talk to me on a weekly basis, had some weird things happening with the car lately. Whenever I do a hard pull in like third gear, like if I open it wide open, the check engine light will flash at me, and it'll cut the timing in the car immediately, and that's a safeguard that was loaded into the software. Basically the knock sensor's going off, so that was the whole reason of getting the boost gauge, because the person I need to go to get it tuned by, apparently the computer won't read what the boost is, which is probably just good to have anyways. And if you're going to put a boost gauge in, you might as well put a wideband in as well. So just a little thing here and there. Gonna keep working on it. It's probably time more than anything. Time is my lowest, like the least thing that I have. So hope you liked the video. I know I said I was going to do those other things, or install those gauges, but there's a little car show that I want to go to tomorrow, and I didn't really want to miss it. And I can drive the car the way it is now. I just can't go crazy with it. That's alright. So, thanks for watching. Keep watching your feed. I know that I'll probably get these gauges installed within the next week. Try to get them in there. So appreciate it. Thumbs up. We'll see you later.